more of and that's incorporated things like the almost the heart seeds.
Hey everybody, today I'm here to tell you that you're a hero. Don't doubt it. In our culture and in our society, we look at people who have gone through hardships and tyranny and oppression and who have overcome those things. We look at them as heroes. And you're taking the first steps, and I'm so excited for you. You're about to take a step that is going to cause people to look at you and respect you. And your children are going to see someone that they honor. And the changes that you're going to see are going to just knock your socks off. It's my desire that this series that I'm doing on breaking free are a tool that's used to help you have your aha moment. About 2 years before I actually broke free was when I went through my breakthrough or my aha moment. I knew that I had to do something. I looked at my little boys and I saw their pain and I saw their laughter start to subside, and I knew I had to do something. I'd kept it silent for so long, I had no idea what I was going to do. And I distinctly remember praying and crying out to God, God, don't you love me? I've prayed so much for my marriage, so much for my children, so much for my provision and my direction, and you've let me down. Sometimes we hold on to things that we shouldn't, and we pay a price for that. Right at 2 years before I made my final break, there was an incident that occurred where my ex beat me over 100 times. Now, I know that because I got into the habit of counting the blows. Don't ask me why, but I just did. I lost count around 100 because I blacked out. I don't know how many times he hit me that day, but I knew that day that was it. I prayed to God. I said, okay, God, I've prayed every prayer that I know of how to fix this situation so that we can keep our family intact, so that financial burdens are not going to be such a hardship and impact my children the way that I knew that they would. But okay, Lord, this is it. I am going to act in a way from this day forward exactly how He wanted me to act. I gave up all of my friends. I stopped communicating with everyone. I focused strictly on the things that He wanted from me, that He kept saying that He wanted from me. The things that I felt like I was imperfect on, so that I could try to become perfect enough for Him. And I told God, I said, okay, God, I'm going to give it everything that I've got. And if He hits me one more time, that will be the last time. So answer my prayer now, Lord, or that is what I'm going to go forward with. Fast forward about 2 months, there we go again. Now, the time that he hit me 100 times, he really made his hands swell up. And as a matter of fact, the day after he hit me that many times, and let me just explain it to you. My ex got smart. He would only hit me from sleeve level up. He would cover my torso with bruises to the point that you could not see where one bruise ended and the other one began. And of course down this sleeve and all along the hairline of my head. Those were his free zone, because he knew that I was so controlled that I would never allow anyone to see. My children never saw. All they saw was a smile on my face. So the very next day after the last very brutal beating that I took, we went and cooked the meal for our Seder service at our church. People would come up and they would talk to us. They would see my ex's hands and they would ask about how swollen they were. He said, yeah, I smashed them while I was trying to do some fence work. And they bought that. Everybody would come up and hug me and I would just grimace, but I always had a smile on my face. I know how to get through the day. I know how to cover up my pain. I know how to hide it. And I would imagine you do too. Fast forward about 2 months. My children were at a Boy Scout camp, so they weren't around. And don't ask me what the argument was about. I don't remember. But my ex said this to me: wood or metal, it's your choice. I'm not going to fuck up my hands again. I chose wood. He beat me with a 2x4 across my back end. And as I was getting that beating, I knew that was the last time. Later on that evening, as he was dozing off, I grabbed my purse and my keys and I left. Now, I still had access to our accounts, and so I had the ability to go to a hotel. So I went there. I found a shelter that would take my children. It was a little difficult because most shelters don't like to take male boys that are over 13, but I found a place. I went with a friend, picked up my children, and we went to the shelter. Now my youngest, he was scared to death. The thoughts of being with Mom were too scary. Mom had no job. Mom had no source of income. Mom had no place to go. And when we went to that shelter, both of my children were terrified. But my youngest meant he was not staying. And so the next day, I cleaned up our rooms, washed our linens, made our beds, and we left. And not knowing any other areas, I went and drove around in my car with my children in the same vicinity that we were from. My youngest son saw a road that he knew led to home, and he opened his door and was trying to get out, and I knew that I had to take them back, and I did. And the hardest thing I did was leave them, because I knew I had to make a way. I ended up going back again, and over the next 2 years, about every 4 to 6 months, I would leave. I would beg the children to come with me, but I was too scary. My future was unseen. Fast forward a little bit, this process went on for 2 years. Because I had let my girlfriend know that had taken me to go pick up my boys, a little crack of reality of what was going on, he no longer hit me. But what he replaced it with was far worse. He knew then how to hurt me, and that was by taking his abuse out on the children. He would also sit me down for 2 to 3 days at a time, where I could not get up, I could not get anything to drink, I couldn't feed my children, I couldn't homeschool my children, I couldn't take care of business matters, I couldn't take care of our farm, I couldn't go to the bathroom. He would sit me there for 6, 8, 10 hours at a time, berating me, telling me how stupid I was, what a bitch I was, how horrible a human being I was, hour after hour after hour. The last day, I learned I can take 4 days of that before I blow. And that last day, I blew. I didn't care if he killed me. I didn't care what I had to do. I had to get free. So I left. I kissed my boys goodbye and I left. Before you sit there and pass judgment on anyone, I want you to remember one thing. Now, I can't approach this from any other perspective than my Christ-centered approach, because I'm a Christian. I don't make any apologies for that, and you don't have to agree with me. But it is part of who I am, and I cannot tell my story without going back to that. So I tell you this, before you pass judgment on someone, remember, the same measure that you use against them will be used against you. If you haven't been in this situation, and I pray to God that you haven't, but the fact that you're watching this, chances are you have. But I want to tell you, don't ask a woman why she didn't leave. If you don't understand the process that she's gone through, if you don't understand the chipping away at who she is, then you can't understand. You can't understand when you have not experienced every day of your life going to bed in fear. My ex, whenever he would move, my fight or flight mechanisms, the adrenaline would go through my body. I never knew when he was going to start pounding on me. I never knew when the cycle was going to begin, but it was a cycle. After everything stopped, I had a period of time where, do you remember the old cartoons back in the 50s and 60s where the little cartoon characters would have that crazy look and their eyes would be kind of all over the place? I literally went through that. I thought I was going crazy. I went to the doctor. I said, "What is this?" He said, "That's a result of shell shock. Your body is readjusting. Your body is so used to the pattern of abuse that it's freaking out in its readjustment phase. I found that interesting. So I want to tell you today, the fact that you have stopped, thought, looked at what effect is going on to your children. Look at how your mind has been changed. I want to show you something. Our minds are amazing things. And if you're a victim of domestic violence, you didn't ask to live that life. I know that. You didn't ask for that purpose in life. When we're born, we're all basically on the same level. Children, babies play 24/7. They dream, they hope, they believe the strangest things without question, without doubt. They believe in the Easter Bunny. They believe in Santa Claus. They don't question it. They just believe. I believe that's what God's Word talks about when He talks about the faith of a child. It's not encumbered by fear and doubt. And then little by little, our mind gets redirected. We've been told we can't do something. We've been told we're not smart enough for something. We've been told that we're stupid, that we don't know what we're talking about, and that we should listen to someone else. We tell our children, Johnny, stop daydreaming over there and focus on your work. When really what he should be doing is daydreaming and believing that he can accomplish something and believing that he can overcome something and believing without any doubt where he wants to go. But we stifle that. And slowly but surely, we start to live and believe a lie. Now, I know this is true because I've lived it in my own life. And now as an overcomer, I can tell you this. If we have the power to warp our minds in this direction and allow different things to prevent us, to hinder us, to stall us from what we're supposed to be going towards, we have the power to change that. We have the power to believe that we're good and smart and capable of anything. We start to lose the ability of caring what anybody thinks about us. We start seeing through the lies and we start believing the truth. And that's why I say today you're a hero. Because you've made the choice to renew your mind. I'm so excited for you. All of the hardships that you've gone through, they're your story. When I was going through mine, I was crying, I was scared, I was anxious, I was angry. And now I realize they were such a blessing to me. They made me who I am. They made me see my purpose. They made me see the reason I went through everything that I've gone through in my life. And it's been for good. So now, you know you have the power within you to change. And that makes you a hero.